Belief, faith, and commitment.
Hi out there, this is Heather Vickery, and you've tuned in to the Brave Files podcast, where each week I bring you an interview with somebody who has stepped out of fear and into bravery in every possible way. We're redefining what it means to be brave around here, folks, and we're embracing the idea of everyday brave. There are a million ways to choose bravely each and every day, and when we embrace them, when we know that what we're choosing is brave, and we choose brave on purpose, we start to choose for bigger things, more wonderful things. We risk way more, but the rewards are way better, and it's 100% contagious. This week's guest, Carlos Adell, is proof that we don't have to follow the path laid out in front of us by our parents, our community, or society at large. But he didn't learn these lessons the easy way. Carlos had several near-death experiences before deciding to forge his own true path in the world. And he's here today to share his harrowing and eventually beautiful journey from drug dealer to CEO of a renowned consulting agency. Carlos lives to embody his core values and to live life knowing that he's helping make the world a better place. This hasn't been easy for Carlos, but he knows that every minute is worth it. And here are just a few of the key takeaways from this episode. The first one is never take life for granted. Recognize that you have limited time and live to your fullest potential. And stand for something, folks, because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything. Also, happiness isn't achieved with a high-paying job. Ooh, Carlos can tell you all about that. It's not achieved with a lot of money, but instead, happiness is achieved by finding your own path in life. And my final favorite takeaway is faith and belief are required for dreaming, but those dreams won't come true without commitment. You've got to show up and do the work. And speaking of showing up and doing the work, oh my goodness, I have exciting news. You can now, right now, pre-order my book, Fuck Fearless, Making the Brave Leap. Oh my gosh, I am so excited and I am so proud. The book breaks down my coaching method and my life method, the BRAVE method, which BRAVE is an acronym and it stands for boundaries, reassessment, reframing, and resilience, action and accountability, vulnerability, and finally expand and empower. In the book, I share a lot of my own stories, memoir style. I share case studies of both previous guests here on the Brave Files and clients that I've worked with. We call those Brave Spotlights, and Brave action sections where you can go right now, get right into action, and make your own dreams come true to live a joy-filled, happy, brave life that gets you whatever it is that you most desire. The book is thoughtful and funny and actionable, and yes, there are lots of curse words in it. And you can go find however you want to order the book. All of your ordering options are available at vickeryandco.com/FFearlessBook. That's the letter F Fearless Book. Go grab it right now, pre-order. If you order early, you will have the book in hand by October 28th. The roller coaster ride that is writing, editing, and publishing a book is insane, and I'm extremely proud. The book officially releases, like I said, on October 28th, and if you pre-order, you will have it in your hand on or before the 28th. You even have an option of ordering directly from me and getting your copy personalized and signed. There's an extra shipping cost for that, but it's a hell of a great keepsake and would make for an awesome gift. I also wanted to share just one of our additional new fantastic endorsements. We keep getting them in, and it's so exciting and wonderful. This one comes from Alan Seals, who's co-founder and CTO of Broadway Podcast Network, and he's the Talks at Google Global Lead, which is very cool. If you haven't checked out the Talks at Google, you're going to want to do that because they're incredible, and Alan hosts those as well. So Alan, thank you for this. Alan says about Fuck Fearless, Making the Brave Leap, most people go through life second guessing what should have been. This is fueled by fear. Heather's Brave method allows you to overcome your fears and put positive mindset and growth into your daily routine. Whether you want to be a better business leader, a better friend, a better parent, or simply make the most of life's opportunities, this book is for you. So go grab your copy of Fuck Fearless, Making the Brave Leap right now, and be sure to share it with your friends. You can learn all of your ordering options at vickeryandco.com/ffearlessbook. All right, folks, now let's hear Carlos Adell's brave story. This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Welcome back to the Brave Files podcast, friends. I am so excited to have Carlos Adell here with you. His joy and charisma comes through even in audio, and I think you're in for a real treat. This fascinating human has done it all, been to the brink, can come back, been a drug dealer, been a drug user, followed parents' dreams, nearly died more than once, left and ran across to the other side of the globe, came back, and I am telling you, his story is exciting and fascinating, and you're going to like him. And I'm really excited to have you here. Carlos, welcome to the Brave Files podcast.
Oh my God, Heather, yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And when I'm hearing you talking about me, I'm like, wow, who's that guy? Yeah.
I know that feeling whenever somebody's reading my bio. I'm like, well, it's kind of awkward, and yeah, it's true, but strange.
Thank
Well,
you.
we're really, really glad to have you here. You are a fellow entrepreneur in the coaching industry, just like me, and I love collaborating and connecting with other coaches because I deeply believe that there's enough love and business to go around, and I refer coaches all the time, and I love your approach with how you support your clients.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. But you didn't just like magically become this charismatic, engaging coach. You've had quite the life experience, my friend.
Yeah, I like to think that I did all the wrong things to make sure that I knew which ones were the right ones.
Right. So that's that old concept of we fail forward.
Yeah. Well, you can't fail in life. You can't fail unless you give up.
That's how I feel too. I'm with that. You can't fail unless you give up. So let's go back to the beginning. Tell folks a little bit about, where you grew up, and I kind of just casually threw out there, been a drug dealer, been a drug user, but that was pretty normal for you. And so let's give folks some context and tell them this story.
Yeah. So look, that was back when I was a kid in high school, and I was just 15. And I always was this nerdy guy with this big nose and this, ugly glasses that my mom would buy for me. And
why do moms do that?
I don't know. They were the worst ones.
Where were you living? Where were you born? Raised?
I was living in Spain, in a little city, and it's in the south of Barcelona. Beautiful city by the beach.
Okay. So nerdy guy with dorky glasses that we let mom pick out.
and clothes as well, by the way. So what I was saying is that all the cool kids, were doing like the naughty things, like they were smoking and some joints here and there, but I wasn't there. I didn't have the attention or I wanted something they got that I didn't have. And that was when I was still at school. And then when I moved into high school, it was a different city. No one knew me. And I thought, all right, now I can be whoever I want. Because in my surrounding,
I hear that. It's interesting that the direction that you went. But it's a fascinating thing for us to remember is we can reinvent ourselves for better or for worse, as I think you're about to share.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, because I wasn't gonna use that word, but it's the perfect word for that. Like you can reinvent yourself, and I did that without being conscious of it. This is why later on I reverse engineered the process. But let's stick with the story for a second. I was in a new city and I realized that people didn't know me, so I could become whoever I wanted. So I started hanging out with the guys who did drugs, who were the bad boys and whatnot. And it didn't take long for me to become like the rebel at the high school. I was a bully. I started selling drugs because it just made sense. Everyone was doing that. Why am I not going to make a profit out of it if it is a standard? So my surroundings had a big impact in what I did. And I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And that was my story for the next 8 or 9 years.
Okay, but wait, how did you not think you were doing something wrong? And I'm not questioning you, and I'm certainly not judging you, but
Yeah.
was that really not something that in this beautiful Spanish town people were like, drugs are bad? Or is that just an Americanized? I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah, look, I knew I was doing something illegal. But we chose to believe, well, like, well, if everyone's doing that and no one's dying, it's not that bad as they make it look on TV and everything else. The only reason they say it's wrong is because it's illegal. Of course, you know that you're doing something that is not accepted by society, but it's like, well, if my friends do that, if the friends of my friends do that, if everyone is doing that and we all having fun, what's wrong with it? So what I'm trying to bring home is like how important it is your surrounding and the paradigm that it creates, because you live in a reality that it's yours, but not the one from the guy next door.
Yeah. So your perception creates your reality. Like
Yeah.
what you believe to be true is true.
Yeah, and vice versa, because you
Yeah.
take actions and these actions confirm that what you're doing is true. Let's say, well, that's right. Like everyone's doing that. You find someone else that is doing the same thing. You say, see, everyone is doing that. So,
Yeah.
it is a cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. All right. So you reinvented yourself as this cool guy, drug dealer. But that didn't exactly go the way that you thought it might go.
Yeah. Look, yeah. Look, I lived the first year of my life until I was 21 as a wreck ball or wreck train. I was a wreck. I was just
A wreck.
doing,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I'm a Spanish, by the way, and my English sometimes goes funny.
That's all right. Even this lesbian thinks your accent is sexy, so it's all good.
That's good. I use this to my advantage as well.
I'm sure that you do.
So yeah, look, I was doing whatever I wanted. I was living the rock star lifestyle, and I knew this was illegal. And I knew this needed to end, but I also knew that I wanted more. I wanted to have more money. I wanted to do the cool things. I wanted to do the things that I couldn't do with the money that I was getting from my family, or the money that I could get it by doing some works here and there. So it was my hunger for more what drove me into finding for answers, but I just got the wrong answers, so to speak.
Yeah. All right. And so this came to a troublesome point for you.
Yeah, this created a lot of trouble because I was surrounding myself by all the wrong people, and I'm not blaming people. I was myself surrounding myself with the wrong people, so it's my fault.
Your choice, but yeah, the people
Yeah.
we spend our time with really have an impact.
Oh
on
my
our lives.
goodness!
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely become like the five people that are around you, because
Absolutely.
it becomes your standard. It becomes your normal. It becomes okay. So what that meant for me, it was always being in the wrong place at the wrong time, like fights, nightclubs, and places where you basically have a lot of chances that something wrong happens. Until one day, I woke up. I remember that there is this nurse asking me, "Hey, Carlos, do you know where you are?" And I was like, I
Oh,
was
wow.
thinking, I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I was thinking, of course I know where I am. And And at this point, I was waking up from 5 days in a coma after a huge car crash that no one knows how I didn't kill myself on that day.
And you don't remember any of that?
No, everything I know is because I've been picking up from people telling me one thing or another. I've got like
Wow.
completely different experience in my head, which is like all the dreams and experiences that I lived through these 5 days that I was between life and death. And this story, which is like a story that we could fill like 3 more podcasts with that, it was my reality. And when I wake up, this person asks me, I'm like, well, of course I know. I'm in a nightclub that it's turned into a hospital, and you're just a waiter that turns into a nurse during the daytime. That was my story in a nutshell, right? Like very bizarre.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and from here, it took me weeks or even months to realize what just had happened. And yeah, I lost my voice. It was a mess. It was a mess. And that was definitely a turning point. Not immediately, because what I did when I got out of the hospital, it was going back quickly, attending all my clients that had been unattended for the last 10 days. So the message didn't come right through me. It took me some time, but it was a big message, a big lesson, and a big kid. A big kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you had that, what changed for you? What shifted for you when you realized that you had lost all this time, that you had almost died, that everyone else was pretty freaked out about something that you had previously thought wasn't a big deal? What shifted?
Yeah, look what shifted for me, and it's still there today. It's you and I are we talking here, and the audience is listening to us, and everything is good, life's going well, nothing's wrong. And everything could end in a blink of an eye without us realizing, because we take life for granted. We take the time that we have on Earth for granted, and we waste our times doing things that are way less than what we should be doing because we think we got unlimited time, and we don't think it consciously. We just take it for granted. And that day when I was 21, and one day I was having the time of my life, living the rock star lifestyle, having, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I was DJing, I was doing all the things. And the next day, I was more close to die than I was to keep going on with my life. And then I realized how quickly this experience that we all living, it could end. And how painless, because I didn't it wasn't pain. I mean, I don't remember anything. I could die and no pain, no announcement, no nothing. It just ends.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, I'm just feeling that because I know that's true. And I also know that most of us still don't live every day as if this might be the last one. We're still too busy. We still, put aside the things that we want to do or that bring us joy to do the things we think we should do or have to do. And where's the middle ground there, Carlos? Where do you do? I mean, right? Like, okay, so let me give you a really interesting example. My partner and I both have books. She's a book coming out in 2 weeks. I have a book coming out in 6 weeks. And we're like eat, sleep, breathing these freaking books right now. And we're exhausted and we're trying to surrender. We really spend a lot of time in sort of surrendering the outcome. But where's the balance between showing up and doing your best job and busting your ass to have something that's successful and also surrendering? And that's, to me, that's the core of what you're saying. Like, it could be gone in a minute. Okay, well, so how do we do our everyday stuff then?
Yeah. This is a freaking amazing question. I wish I had, I wish I had a clear 3 words answer for you.
Me too. Damn it. I was so hoping.
but I'll tell you my version of the story here. I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
And what I think, and this is not, it's an answer that keeps changing every day because it's an answer that I'm always searching for. And what I will say is, like, you need to live your life as if it was your last day on Earth. But remember that it's probably not. So what I mean is, like, be careful because you're probably going to stay here for a little bit longer. don't waste your time, but don't be a wreck.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is you don't really have an answer. Just try to not fuck it up.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Now I'll give you another answer. Okay, now I'll give you the I'll give you the real answer.
Okay.
So, and this is something that I just realized recently, and actually I just went through COVID, and I ended up in hospital, and it's a scary thing because some people die, and
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
keep wondering, am I gonna get worse tomorrow? And when they take you to hospital and you see the guy next to you who's on a bed, who's in bed, and he's even worse than you, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I gonna get out of here? And these questions go through your head. So I started answering. I started questioning myself, asking myself, is that what you're doing worth? How can you do something that if you die now, it's gonna still last? And what the answer that I came up with is that you need to make sure that today, what you're doing in the world is making the world a better place. You have a mission and a
Yes.
purpose. And it doesn't matter if that's giving, like, I don't know, like helping someone with sometimes the tiny little things that we think that they don't make an impact, they do. And if you can leave the world tomorrow and you've done something good for someone today, then I know I can go in peace.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that a lot. That to me really it hits right in the spot that it's supposed to. It really resonates. So it isn't so much that we're going to love everything we're doing all the time.
Yeah,
Because sometimes we've got to do the parts that we don't love in order to get the results that we want.
totally.
But it's that check in with yourself that are the things you're doing, creating the impact and leaving the legacy that you would want.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have the entire first section of my book that is coming out very soon. It's called Fuck Fearless, Making the Brave Leap, is specifically talking about legacy. So this really resonates with me because I'm spending a lot of time in that space right now.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
really excellent description. Thank you so much
No
for
worries.
sort of workshopping that with us.
Yeah, look, actually, you're gonna laugh, but I'm working on a workshop now that I'm gonna launch in a few weeks, and I'm gonna put that into my business because to me everything changed the day that I found my purpose and my mission, because it's not
Yeah.
anymore about you, and then you have something to live and to die for.
I like that. It reminds me of, I don't know if you're a musical theater fan, but Hamilton, which I am
Yeah.
a fan. Everybody who listens knows that I'm a diehard fan. That's essentially what they talk about. If you stand for nothing, Burr, what'll you die for?
Yeah, exactly. Look, can I recommend a book here?
Yeah, recommend a book. We love book recommendations.
Oh
We're
my
fans.
goodness. It's probably the best book I ever read. It's called Your Stand is Your Brand. And it really goes through it's related to what we're saying. And it's like you need to stand for something. And for whoever is building a business or creating a legacy and you want to communicate a message, you need to stand for something, and that's gonna be your message, that's gonna be your brand.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
So, but again, you had this near death experience, and that still didn't all come together for you at that moment. You actually took off
No.
and moved across the globe, right? To Australia?
Yeah, look what I did at this point. I was getting my degree in engineering, and I was taking it very slowly because I had the money. I didn't have to work. I was studying at uni. I wasn't in a rush. But when this happened, I got like two years of uni worth 2 years worth of uni. I got them done in a year because I'm like, yeah, I have to get things done and just move forward. So I did that. I got my degree very quickly. I got my job in corporate because that I thought that was the right thing to do. I quit everything. I stopped doing all the naughty things to do the right thing.
There's something really wonderful about hearing you say naughty things.
Well, you know what I mean, right? But
I do. I do know what you mean. Maybe it's
oh,
the accent. I don't know.
yeah, some words they lost the meaning in translation for me.
I think they just sound better. when you say naughty things. I don't know. I'm like,
I,
oh, it sounds
yeah.
good. I don't know. No, he's saying bad things. He stopped doing the. Okay. Were you into what you were studying? Was this a career that you were really passionate about starting?
No, I made this decision when I was 17 years old. And I made this decision based on information I didn't have because I wanted to be a musician or a nutritionist. And my dad said, son, this is never going to give you much money. Nutrition. Can't you think about today? Like everyone's like
Right.
overweight.
Everybody's making money off of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my dad. And I thought, okay, well, I'll choose something else. And then I went to someone else and I say, hey, I don't know what to study. And he said, you would like engineering because you will study a little bit of everything. I say, oh, okay, sounds good. An engineer, chicks are gonna like that. So I'm like, okay. So there I went. I went to do an engineering, and I loved it, but I wasn't passionate about it. I just didn't know what to do with my life. It was too young.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is a tricky thing about making some sort of life decision as you're prepping to go off to college. I'm a big fan, if you're going to go to college, of going and exploring and learning about yourself while you're there. So did you abandon that course of action when you took off and went to Australia?
No. I never abandon things. I don't give up on almost anything. If I make a decision, I stick to it.
And I appreciate that. But, I've been having this conversation with my clients and with my kids recently that there's a difference in being a quitter and reassessing a situation because you have new information and making a different choice.
Absolutely agree. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, yeah, I would say that your choice is the smart one. Mine is the stubborn one, the stubborn one. But no, but because I thought that, when I would have the engineering degree, like companies would give me jobs and everything would be easy. I would join corporate. I would make money. I would have a job with high responsibility, as my dad indicated that would happen. And then I would marry someone, buy a house, and happy life. And it wasn't like that the way it happened. Exactly.
So you mean that your life plan that you created when you were 17 didn't exactly come out the way you wanted?
I know.
Hot tip, folks. Your plans rarely come out the way you thought they would.
Yeah, that's true. And when you're 17, you don't know anything.
My mother said my taste in furniture changed from 17 to 27. Like, you think your career interests aren't going to change?
My dad say the same to me about music. Yeah, that's right. It's more. I bought into this idea, into this belief from my dad. Like I borrowed his beliefs, and I worked really hard to build this dream because I thought that was the recipe for happiness. And I did get into corporate, and I did get I was stepping up the ladder in corporate like pretty quick. I became the sales manager in the whole country at age 24, and by 25 or 26, I had to be rushed into hospital because I was having a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
An actual stroke, or you just thought you were having a stroke?
No one understood how could I make it to a hospital. The doctors were scratching their heads and say, you shouldn't be here. You should have died on the street. Your heart, you got some sort of arrhythmia in your heart that is very weird. Like, this is the reason some sports people die, like, suddenly. And how did you come here? I'm like, they were surprised that I was in the hospital. I was like, you should be that. You should be dead.
Wow.
And again, I spent like a few days in the intense care unit, and that got me thinking as well. I'm like, well, if all this stress, all this pressure that I'm putting into myself, this is not making me happy. Like, maybe that wasn't the formula. You see, I go from hospital to hospital to breakthrough.
Your second near-death experience, finally a light bulb went off.
Yeah, there was another one in between, but it's okay. Like, this was, it's okay. This was the third one, actually. And
Holy cow.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Like a
like to
bit.
live on the edge, man. Have you chilled that out at all lately, or is
Yeah,
it just
yeah. Now, yeah. If it's yeah, definitely.
all right? So what changed? What do you do differently than this third near-death experience? The light bulb finally goes off. What change do you create at that point?
At that point, I realized that I had been following someone else's dreams, and I had been living a life that it wasn't my choice. It was my choice, but it
But
wasn't
not,
really my what
yeah,
made me happy.
yeah.
So what I did at this point is, after I can't remember a few weeks, days, I don't know. I started going to a psychologist, and she made me realize the problem that I was having. And then I sat down with my parents, who I love to bits, and I said, "Hey, look, guys, I've been doing all this stuff. I thank you because you've supported me through all the journey. You've paid for my career. You've done all the things. But now, what I think and what I found out is that this doesn't make me happy, and I don't know what I want. I don't know what's gonna make me happy, but I'm gonna go ahead and find out. And I just wanted to let you know because what you always wanted from me, I don't think it's the right thing for me."
And how did they respond to that?
Yeah, I was expecting some disappointment, but they said, "Carlos, son, if it makes you happy, it will make us happy." And I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying that because I remember this very moment as if it was yesterday. And I was like, wow, okay. So these guys, they want my happiness, not to do what they think it's best for me. And then I quit. I quit corporate, and I started a few businesses that didn't succeed. And then I said, you know what, I need a big change. And then I bought a flight to Australia, and and I just quit everything, and I flew there.
And why not?
Okay, yeah.
And just why not? Why wouldn't we do that?
Oh, yeah.
No, it brings up a really interesting point. Is I think, especially Carlos, do you have children?
No,
Okay,
nephew.
so it not relevant. I just wanted to know, as I was throwing this idea out, it happens a lot as children and as parents, but it happens in our everyday life, in our businesses, with our friends, in our communities, where we think we know how someone else feels or what someone else expects or what they're going to find acceptable. And we make our decisions based on those assumptions. And it's really beautiful to me when somebody takes what I call the brave leap. They make a brave leap and they say to somebody, I don't want that. And then especially when they hear back, well, that's okay. We always only wanted what was best for you. We didn't realize, right? We have to talk to one another. We have to communicate, set boundaries, ask for what we want, and be really clear about it. And let's just stop assuming.
Yeah, yeah, yes, absolutely. I believe that people by nature, we we don't we do the best we can with the information and tools we got. And my parents are the best human beings that I know, and they love me like they would do anything, and they did the best they could. But it wasn't the best solution for me. So now I've learned this lesson. I would do different with my kids, but I don't blame them because I know that they did that from a place of pure love.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that because we're all doing the best we can with the knowledge we have. When you get
Yeah,
different knowledge, you make a different decision, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So tell us what happened once you got to Australia because you've ended up back in Spain. You're back there now. So let's tie up that journey a little bit.
Yeah. So the thing is, I went there with a visa, with a 4 months visa. It was gonna be a 4 months trip. Somehow, I'm like, I'm gonna test it out and see if I like it. I'll stay. So the 4 months trip, it ended up being like a 5 years journey. And I found all these challenges. And when I got there, like I'm like, holy cow, these people, is that English? And I couldn't really understand anyone. And my English was, I just didn't speak English, and it was so challenging that I couldn't really go back to Spain. I really needed to make it happen. I really needed to be able to find a real job and get a visa. and be able to stay in the country for as long as I wanted. And when this happened 5 years later, 2 months after this happened, I decided to come back to Spain.
Just 5 months. So after deciding I need to stay forever, I need to learn the language. So why the quick turnaround?
Because I had achieved what I went there to achieve. And after 5 years, I got my visa. I was going to be able to stay with some facilities and not struggling as a student. And I fell in love with someone in Spain. Sorry, I missed this bit before.
I mean, that is sort of important in the story.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Are you still in love with that person?
No, it didn't last very long.
It didn't last because I was like, if they hear that, they're going to be sad, but
No,
we don't
no,
care
no.
about them, right?
No, no. It was just the excuse that I needed to take the leap and leave Australia. And at this point, I was feeling that I had all these tools and resources, and I had learned so much that if I had done all these things there, I could do anything, anywhere. And I'm like, okay, let's continue the adventure in Europe. And I moved back to Spain.
But you still hadn't actually learned all your lessons when you got back to Spain, right? What did you do for work when you moved back to Spain?
Oh, I ended up back in corporate again.
So the job that gave you a stroke at the age of, what was it, 27?
It was 20, 27, 20, 28, actually.
28. You went
Yeah.
back to corporate. Why?
I went back to corporate because I thought that, like now I'm in a completely different space. I've got a completely different set of skills. Now I'm going to be more in control. I'm going to let it happen again. But it wasn't like that. I had to try it again. So I went again back to corporate. I think I changed job like 6 times in about a year. And
Oh, wow.
I was again, I couldn't sleep. I started having like the weirdest arrhythmia ever in my head. I would be sitting on my computer and my heart would rise up to 180 BPM. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is bizarre. I went back to hospital again. And this time
Oh my gosh.
it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. They say this is stress. I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to do something about it. And I started searching and researching and see I need to do something different. And then someone gave me this program from Tony Robbins that it's called Get the Edge. It is a very old program. And he talks about, well, if you know Tony Robbins, you know, you get an idea of how his programs are. But he talks about giving back and helping people and giving before getting. And I got so inspired that I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So this very day, I sponsored my first kid in India. And I'm like, yeah, I want to follow that. I believe that that's how things should be done. And I decided to build my own business online, helping other people to make this impact. And that was another turning point in my life.
I like that a lot. I mean, I hear from clients and listeners and people all the time that when we aren't doing what we're meant to do, we physically manifest that. But you maybe have the most epic story of that ever, repeatedly, right? Like, this really wasn't healthy for you. And we kind of never know when new opportunities are going to present to take us in the right direction. So we have to be open to those signs. So obviously you were not open to the signs for a long time because you kept going back and repeating those things for whatever reason. Obviously we needed to, right? You needed to. We do. Regrets are a waste of our time. Like, we do what we're going to do because it's going to get us where we eventually need to be. And there's got to be some surrender with that. But how do you now pay enough attention to the signs to let it guide your next steps?
Yeah, good question. You look, and you hit the nail on the head here. I'm hardcore and I go all in wherever it takes and I do what I think I have to do. And it's funny because every time that I had a big breakthrough, it's been in hospital. And even this time that I got COVID, I mean, I also think, okay, why now? What's the universe telling me? And they all lessons, they all messages that we're receiving. You know, that's what I believe. And you don't need to get to a hospital. You can listen to your body. You can take, change your direction earlier. So when something is not working, when something you feel is not aligned with your values, with who you are, the first thing is understanding what are your values? What do you believe? What do you want to see in the world? How do you think you should behave? And when things are not aligned with you and you can feel it, you can sense it. You need to listen to your body and how you feel, and just change your approach.
Yeah.
There's something disaligned.
Yeah. It's a little bit easier said than done, but just change your approach.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Sorry.
it's not wrong. I think it's totally
Okay.
right. And I say to folks, like, these are very simple concepts. They're just not easy.
Yeah.
They're simple to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
And you can break it down, right? You can do it in little steps, bit by bit, slowly. You took it very slowly, nearly
Yeah.
dying multiple times before you created a change.
Yeah. I took my time.
So, do you now have any specific rituals or self-care practices or things that you do on a consistent daily basis to help you stay aligned and in tune with your purpose?
Yeah, what I constantly do is check-ins, and that is like, I'm very conscious of myself. I'm very conscious of my thoughts, of how I feel, where I'm getting frustrated, where I'm getting anxious, and every time that I see a feeling that I'm not enjoying, I stop and say, okay, what's happening? Why is this happening? What can I do about it? And coaching is about asking the right questions. And when we say, "Oh, I was gonna swear," but
You could swear. I have a book called
okay.
Fuck Fearless, so bring it on.
when you start saying "fuck this shit" and "oh, it happens to me" and "why this is happening to me," then you don't find answers. You just find more frustration. But when you observe things, okay, this is happening. So what happened? What did I do? That what I did before, or how I generated this to happen to me, or how could I understand this thing in a different way? There's one of my favorite authors. His name is Wayne Dyer. He died a few years ago.
Wayne is
He
a
used-
mentor of mine. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this man. So one of the things he said, he always said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And this is true, because we can't change reality, but we can always change the way we understand reality. And you just need to check in with yourself. Am I happy? Am I enjoying that? Do I want to do that right now? If the answer is not yes, then ask yourself, so what could I do better? How could I do better? What do I want to do in the future? And this is not something that might happen for some people, happens very, very quick. Some people spend more time to find the right answer. But as long as you keep pursuing, you will never fail. And you will always, always find what you're looking for.
I like that. You'll never fail and you'll always find what you're looking for because there are no mistakes.
Yeah, when I started my business, I got like this overnight success that took me like almost die 3 times, and no one realized.
You said that. It took me 10 years to have an overnight success.
Yeah, it's my so, and they say, "Wow, what's been your biggest failure in your life?" And I had to stop and think, because I'm like, okay, I don't think I ever failed. Are we talking right? So I'm here. So how do you think I failed? I would be dead or somewhere else. So everything that happens in your life, it makes you the person that you are today. So for you to love who you are today, you need to fall in love with the things that you've done in the past. So how can you call these things failures? Then you'd be a failure. So they're just learning lessons.
And that's really it, isn't it? Like, that's my pull quote for this whole interview is I love that you have to fall in love with the things you've done in the past, even if you didn't love them at the time, even if they weren't right, they served you. I mean, and that's a really important, I think, exercise, especially when things are hard. I've been doing this a lot during the pandemic, which is, okay, what is in this for me? Because this feels really icky right now. So What is
Yeah.
in this for me? How can I take this apart and use it?
Yeah.
Where is this taking me? So
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's really spot on and beautifully said. I would love
Thank
to
you.
know from you, Carlos, what has been in this whole long journey for you, what has been the biggest pleasant surprise?
Biggest pleasant surprise. Oh, this got me off guard. Biggest pleasant surprise. The biggest pleasant surprise. Okay. Um, yeah, like it keeps on amazing me and surprising me how we humans can achieve whatever we decide to achieve if we choose to believe. And this is something that keeps surprising me because you keep talking to people, and if you've got coaching clients, you see that sometimes there's a shift on the way they think that makes that their entire lives change. And this is a pleasant surprise that it keeps. I mean, I don't stop getting amazed at seeing people succeed and seeing what people are capable of. And I don't know if that's the answer that you were looking for, but I'm fascinated by humanity and how people can do whatever they want.
Yeah, no, it is incredibly fascinating. And I wasn't looking for any specific answer because I really try not to assume for folks what they're going to say before they speak. So I think that was great. I dig it.
Thank you.
You have gone through and come out of so many things, and you have this beautiful perspective and all of this wonderful shift. How do you celebrate those successes? And I am curious also, what qualifies as something celebratory for you? Do you celebrate the small wins?
That's that's a good
No
question.
drugs anymore, right?
No. There's no drugs. There's no drugs. Look, today I was driving my car. Well, not my car. I'm renting a car. I'm living in Cyprus at the moment, and I was driving this car, and it's a sunny day as the other 364 days a year here in Cyprus, like it or not, and and I was thinking, and on my thought, I'm like, how how grateful I am for the life that I'm living. And not because my life is extraordinary, not because it's different than yours or than anyone else, because I'm alive. I was seeing the ocean in the background. I'm driving the car in a sunny day. I'm living in a place that I like. I've got my family that take care of myself. And you know that feeling when you know you feel like you're gonna start crying, and I'm like, "Oh, stop it, Carlos. You can't cry now. It's okay." And I was so grateful just for the things that life offer, and not only for the things that life offers, but for the things that life has to offer, which are the things that will come. To me, that's all celebration. I know it doesn't have champagne or
It is a
or
celebration. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I asked this question. It's a beautiful celebration, and I think people regularly overlook it.
yeah, like honestly, sometimes I sit here in my living room, and I just sit down. I burn some incense. I'm a big fan of the incense, and I just I don't know. Like sometimes I watch Netflix. I must confess. I watch a series and sit here and I just feel happy. And this is like a little celebration for me. I don't need much.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love all of that. There are so many ways to celebrate, and we want to celebrate small things and big things and all of the things because it creates celebration begets celebration. It creates momentum
Yeah,
and
yeah,
joy
yeah.
and gratitude and community
Yeah,
because sometimes we
yeah,
share it, and it's this scientifically proven way to stimulate our
yeah.
parasympathetic nervous system and literally make us fucking feel better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I love what you've shared because I don't often get those seemingly small celebrations as answers when I ask this question. People, I take a trip or we have a nice meal out, and those are awesome. I do those things too. But it's really nice to remind folks that the little things count, and they count in big ways. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Carlos, will you share your favorite charitable organization with us?
Yes, absolutely. Look, I'm part of three different organizations that are changing lives in the world. But one of my favorites, because I call my clients and my community the Unstoppables, and I like to think that we are creating people in the world that can achieve and do anything. So after doing some research, I found an organization that's called kiva.org. Kiva, it's KIVA. And it is an organization. What they do is they do micro lendings. So that means people with little access to resources in developing countries or almost in every place in the world that they don't have access to the resources that we might have. You can put some money in there and they would lend it to these people and you get to track the money and everything. It's pretty quite, it's very transparent. And it's amazing because you get to see the people that you're impacting. And to me, that's very important, right? I'm giving money away to somewhere, but then I see the results of my share. So this is my favorite today.
I love that. I like Kiva. I'm a fan. I'm familiar. I've done micro lending with them. So I think that's great.
That's great.
They will be our charity of the week for this episode. And
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. As always, listeners, and this is kind of a different one. It's fun. Go check them out, right? See what resonates, share, support. Maybe you know somebody who wants to get micro lending. Maybe it's not just you giving.
Yes.
Maybe you're just sharing the message and see what's out there. And if there's something that you feel like you might want to support. So I love that. Carlos, you're just such a fascinating human. If folks want to get to know you better, what is the best way to do that?
Well, they can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. That's where I live most of the
Facebook
time.
and LinkedIn. And what are you just Carlos Adell there?
Yeah, Carlos Adell. They'll find
me. You.
Make sure they put the two L's at the end.
Yes.
I can give you the links.
It's
if you want.
Adell. We'll have the links. Yes, folks, you can find the links on my show notes. They will all be there for you. Absolutely. Carlos, will you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Yes, absolutely. These 3 words are belief, faith, and commitment. And if you let me, I'll just explain a little bit why.
Please do. Yeah.
So a belief is the first thing that you need to check if you want to succeed or achieve anything. You need to believe in yourself and in the ability to succeed. The second is faith. You need to trust the process. You need to have absolute faith in your abilities to make it happen. And the last one is commitment, because you need to be committed to make it happen. Only with faith, it's probably not going to happen. But when you put the commitment in the mix, man, that's magic.
Yeah, it is magic. Again, you and I are aligned. There's a whole section in my book about commitments. There's one thing to have a dream or a goal, but none of it gets done without a commitment. It's awesome to have a plan. I want you to have a plan. Carlos, and I want you to have a plan. But having a plan without commitment is just a pipe dream.
It's just a plan.
Pretty much. It's just a plan. Oh, Carlos, this was a lot of fun. I enjoy you. We were prepping for this interview, folks, and Carlos had just listened to our 9/11 episode, which is definitely a more somber episode. I said, don't worry, man. It's okay. We're going to have some fun. Did you have some fun?
That was amazing. We could keep going for hours.
I think we could. Well, for now, this is a good spot to say goodbye. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and your inspiration with my Bravehearts.
Thanks for having me. It's been an amazing experience, and I look forward to your book.
Oh, thank you very much. You can pre-order it right now if you go to vickeryandco.com/ffearless. You can pre-order it right now.
I will.
Thank you. All right, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I want to hear what you think about this or any of our episodes, or even share with me how you are out choosing bravely. Send me an email. I'm Heather@vickeryandco.com. You can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. You can send me a DM. I really, truly mean it. I want to hear what you're up to, and there's always space in my calendar to respond to you. So I look forward to connecting with you. This is Heather Vickery reminding you today and every single day to go out and choose bravely. Until next time. Hey friends, I want to share something really exciting with you. We already know you enjoy listening to podcasts because you're listening to this one, but I'm also betting you enjoy audiobooks. And hey, listen, if you don't already enjoy audiobooks, then it's time to check them out. That's why I'm really excited to share Libro.fm with you. They are an incredible new platform for listening to audiobooks. And by choosing Libro.fm over other audiobook services, you are supporting a local bookstore of your choice and investing in your local community. Libro.fm offers over 150,000 audiobooks via their primary platform, which, by the way, they built with love and from scratch because they're a small business also. They even offer bookseller recommendations for great audiobook options. You can sign up right now via www.vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. That's vickeryandco.com/LIBROFM. And when you do, you'll get one free audiobook of your choice, and the proceeds will go to your favorite local bookstore. Now, check what I just said there. You're going to get a free book, and the proceeds are still going to go to your local bookstore because Libro.fm makes sure that their booksellers get paid even when they give a promo to customers. I've listened to over 20 audiobooks this year alone. I especially love listening to memoirs read by the author, and it feels great knowing that all of my purchases support my local bookstore, The Book Table, in Oak Park, Illinois. Libro.fm. The same audiobooks, the same price, but a completely different story. Check them out right now at vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Maybe you've had this thought and then quickly shut it down because who has the time? Or you don't know how, or gosh, it just all seems too hard. If you have something to share with the world, we want to encourage you to get your message out. The world needs to hear it. Did you know that 50% of all homes are podcast fans? If you've ever wondered about having your own podcast or how it can increase your business or get your message across, then please join me and the other experts from the Podcast Power Academy for our monthly free Q&A session. It's called So You Want to Start a Podcast? This casual live conversation will help you understand how podcasting can be a great decision, why now is the best time to get started, and how to get into action with it. Visit podcastpoweracademy.com to learn more. You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories of people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes and full episode transcripts, or to get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we would love to know what you think of the show. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching. Coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music was created and produced in a custom collaboration with Matt Lewis from ML Creative Consulting, a boutique firm dedicated to helping clients identify their unique sound and amplify their brand with custom delivered soundtracks. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to everyone on Team Brave, from our producers, associate producers, copy editors, writers, and support team. Special thanks to Molly, Mary, Kim, Sabra, and Sabrina. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.